Good night. Next news. Middle Tennessee State University dean fired over Kirk comments. The Center Square. The Center Square. An assistant dean at Middle Tennessee State University was fired after posting inappropriate and Alice comments about the bleep of Charlie Kirk, the school's president said in a Facebook post. The employee was not identified in the post, but you. Below are your comments. The problem is that our society has forgotten how to have a civil discourse. We have become so politically divided and religiously divided that we cannot just agree and move on. We have to learn again how to think for ourselves, how to have the evidence we need in order to have a civil conversation, and we need to relearn how to respect each other regardless of race, creed, gender, etc. We can be as far left or far right politically as we want, as guaranteed by the Constitution. You can have your views, but don't belittle the other side. They have the same right to their views as you do, whether you agree with them or not. America used to be able to talk or argue their viewpoints without resorting to violence and hate. Late-night rants and the hate of Miller don't help. Just because someone has a thought on a particular subject doesn't mean they have to share it. And never put it in writing. It will come back to bite them. Freedom of speech does not equate to freedom of consequences. We all can have political differences, but at least respect each other first. I have a brother-in-law, all he does is yells thinking he will win the conversation. The last 5 times he did that was the straw that broke the camel's back. He gets violent and swears. Out of respect, I ask him to just have conversation and chill out and stop rants and hate. He wouldn't stop. We used to be able to talk or argue in a nice way, our viewpoints without resorting to hate and more hate. So, I show him and his wife the door. End of story. These comments for the most part are great responses to reflect on our divided country because of politics. It can start at the bottom and work its way up, but it would help if it started at the top too. Social media is tearing people apart to the point of actually bleeping each other. But it's been like that for a long time. No one cares unless one of theirs is the victim. And even then, no time is wasted politicizing tragedy. It's a literal death spiral. On the bright side, we're all here to witness it in real time. More of a first-hand view than reading about it 30 years from now, after the collapse. There are more people who are supposedly intelligent that continue to demonstrate that they have no wisdom, class, or couth. Regardless of which side of the political spectrum you reside, the senseless and unconscionable bleep of someone who you don't agree with is nothing to gloat about or celebrate. Our species continues to demonstrate that we are taking giant steps backwards and show we aren't as smart as we may think. At this rate, an outside enemy won't take our country down, we'll do it ourselves. If she were a private person, she could have said whatever she wanted. But she was a university employee in charge of student affairs. She was supposed to be politically neutral in dealing with students. However, based on her posts, the university has concluded that her impartiality was called into question. That was why the university fired her. It is a paradox that every dictator has climbed to power on the ladder of free speech. 0. Immediately on attaining power, each dictator has suppressed all free speech except his own. Herb R.T. Hoover. 0. Free speech has never meant free from possible consequences. If I yell fire in a theater, I'm going to jail. If I call my boss or someone else at work an offensive name, I'm getting fired. So I find many of the far left and far right ideas detestable. Does that mean I get to off them and be happy about it? I think not. Expressing one's views should never lead to violence. The best defense for one's views is factual data presented in a straightforward manner without condescension. If you want to change minds, making people feel stupid is not the way. They need to come to that conclusion about themselves on their own. I have looked back on some of the things I believed in the past, and I now get that flush embarrassed feeling thinking about it. It's sad that we have teachers and professors who would say something like that. I don't care if you disagree with someone's views, but have some dignity. We all have our own beliefs and we should be able to discuss them, but wishing harm on someone is a bad person. As it should be. Kirk encouraged kids to open their minds to others' opinions and ideas. Of course, he tried to persuade them to see things his way, but just as important to him was introducing them to other ideas, opinions. He always asked those who disagreed with him to come to the front of the line. He was never angry, screaming, or anything of the sort, and often, him and the student asking questions would laugh. Bottom line, he encouraged young people to listen to others and make up their own minds as to their personal opinions instead of just taking the views of one group or one person as gospel. Charlie Kirk, we need to be very clear that you're not going to get gun deaths to 0. It will not happen, he continues. 0. But I think it's worth it. 0. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year, so that we see and have the Second Amendment. Pro tip. A driver's license requires much more than getting a gun, and driving is integral to our economy, commerce, social life, etc., in a way. 0. It's one thing to speak opposing views on topics, it's another to celebrate the bleep of an unarmed individual who was interacting in good faith with people, some of whom had a different points of view. He was demonstrating that open dialogue is good for America. People celebrating his death is a whole different ballgame. Did she actually ever listen to Charlie Kirk? Or did she just decide that he was filled with hate because she didn't agree with his politics and worldview? You would think that at a university differing views would not only be tolerated but encourage discourse and debate. College campuses have become hotbeds of intolerance and single vision where people with dissenting views are vilified. This is not what a university or college ought to be. Free speech has consequences. Some are justified, others are not. We are all to blame for what's happening in our country. Politicians and talking heads stoke the flames, and it only takes one deranged person to carry out kinds of crimes. The United States has lost its way. Hopefully she recognizes that she still has her life despite vocalizing opinions that others may not share. Charlie didn't get the same opportunity. An innocent man was bleeped for no reason at all. This man never committed a crime and didn't bother anyone. The fact that someone didn't agree with his political views is no reason to bleep someone. Those who are celebrating these actions are truly sick individuals and are the problem. It's fine to disagree with someone, however, that doesn't give you the right to bleep them. Ironically, I think Charlie would have actually defended this person's right to free speech. We deserve the right to say what we feel, but that can have undesired consequences. I think they were right in chastising her. I applaud this action by MTSU. A person with that much vitriol in their heart, and such a lack of control over their own expressio shouldn't be representing the state of Tennessee in the education of its young people, but her attitude is emblematic of higher education, generally. Smug, entitled, and resentful of the ordinary people whose taxes support them, universities are full of people like this dean. As this incident illustrates, it's time to drain that swamp too. I can't stand the word empathy. Actually, I think empathy is a made-up, new age term that does a lot of damage. Charles Kirk. So, Charlie Kirk said that accepting a certain amount of gun deaths in the US was a prudent deal in order to preserve the Second Amendment. Did he ever think it would be him? From the BBC, a few months ago, Kirk said, "It's worth it to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment. 00. I work on college campuses. They have devolved significantly, especially in the last 20 years. The students are taught to be intolerant. If someone disagrees with you, dehumanize them and hurt them. I'm not a liberal, just an ordinary person with common sense, but as an objective observer, I'd say there is some truth in post, and I see a double standard on what people on the right can now get away with saying publicly compared with what people on the left can say. That'll look good on the ol' resume, and no unemployment benefits either, and the mortgage is due no later than the 16th of October. Please subscribe to my channel. And if you like it, please thumbs up.